Bears versus Chiefs, the matchup fans have been waiting for. Tonight isn't just another preseason game, it's the final tune-up before the Chicago Bears kick off Monday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings. Energy is high, anticipation is building, and tonight we'll finally get a real glimpse at how this roster is shaping up. Before we dive into all the latest updates and storylines, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and don't forget to ring the bell icon so you never miss breaking Bears news. Alright, let's move on to the new updates. Here's what we know heading into tonight. Reports suggest Chicago's starters may be on the field longer than originally expected. Defensive tackle Andrew Billings hinted in a press conference that the starters could be out there until we get tired. Now, that could mean different things depending on the player, but the bottom line is head coach Ben Johnson looks ready to test his guys against Kansas City's first unit. And let's be honest, the Chiefs aren't just any opponent. They've been a powerhouse in recent seasons, and if you want to measure where your team stands, this is the kind of matchup that does it. On top of that, all eyes will be on rookie quarterback Caleb Williams. Facing Kansas City's top defense is no small task, and it's exactly the kind of challenge that can reveal how quickly he's adapting to the NFL. We'll also be keeping a close watch on the left tackle battle, which is starting to narrow down to just two serious contenders, plus the bubble players fighting for their roster spots tonight. And of course, we'll break down the keys to pulling off a statement win against Kansas City. The real test for Caleb Williams tonight isn't just about throwing the football, it's about going head-to-head with a defense that knows how to bring pressure. Kansas City's front seven is built to challenge young quarterbacks, and that makes this matchup a perfect measuring stick. It also gives Chicago's left tackle competition a true battlefield where only consistency will separate the contenders from the pretenders. From what we're hearing, the starters will see more time on the field than they did against the Buffalo Bills, and honestly, that's exactly what this team needs. The second half will still belong to the bubble players fighting for a roster spot, but the opening snaps tonight could tell us a lot about the Bears' identity heading into the season. Think back to last week against Buffalo, over 500 total yards of offense, nearly 200 of those coming from the starters alone. Yes, it was against the Bills' second unit, but the execution and rhythm stood out. Now the challenge is to prove that wasn't just a one-off. Can the Bears move the ball with that same urgency against Kansas City's top defense? That's what fans are eager to see. There's also a bigger purpose here, conditioning. This staff is letting the starters play longer than we've been used to in past regimes, and that's a good thing. If you want to compete deep into the season, your core players need real game reps against elite competition. Sure, no one's going to play at full throttle and risk injury before week 1, but this is about sharpening instincts and building rhythm under real pressure. And of course, all eyes will circle back to Caleb Williams. He already raised eyebrows last week, 6 completions on 10 attempts, 106 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 mistakes. That's efficiency and poise, especially given the whirlwind he's dealt with, criticism, high expectations, and yet another new play caller to master. If he can follow that performance with another clean outing against a powerhouse like Kansas City, the buzz around him will only grow louder. Caleb Williams showed flashes of brilliance against Buffalo, not just numbers on a stat sheet, but composure against a defense that doesn't make life easy, even with backups in the game. That was impressive, but here's the real test. Can he replicate that success against Kansas City's starters? That's the stage where reputations are built. Think about it, if Williams struggles, the national media will be quick to pounce, turning every throw into a headline. But if he delivers, if he stands tall against the Chiefs' first-team defense, the conversation changes. Suddenly, critics turn into believers and the league takes notice. That's the kind of statement game every rookie dreams about. What I want to see from him tonight isn't just big plays. I want to see rhythm. I want to see him under center more often, operating in Ben Johnson's system, showing that he can adapt from the shotgun-heavy style he thrived in at USC. That transition matters because it's the foundation for his long-term growth. And then there's the pressure. Kansas City will bring it. They'll test Chicago's offensive line, especially at left tackle, and force Williams to react in real time. That's where we'll learn the most about him. Does he panic, or does he process, step up, and make the throw? For me, the ideal scenario is simple. Let him play a good quarter and a half. Long enough to settle in, experiment, and push through adversity, but not so long that you risk overexposure in preseason. Every rep matters. Every drive builds confidence, and tonight every snap is a chance for Caleb Williams to show he's not just learning the NFL, he's ready to compete with the best. Preseason games might not count in the standings, but they absolutely matter for development, and nowhere is that more obvious than in the left tackle battle. This competition has been one of the most closely watched storylines all summer, and for the first time, we're finally starting to see it narrow down. Right now, the spotlight is firmly on Braxton Jones. He's the most experienced of the group, heading into the final year of his rookie contract, and he's already started the past 2 games. If he's on the field again tonight, every snap will be under the microscope. Can he hold up against Kansas City's front and prove he deserves to stay locked in as the starter? Then there's Theo Benedet, the new face in the mix, and the one generating the most intrigue. Reports out of practice suggest he's been the most consistent performer, and while he's still rotating with the second unit, his steady play has kept him firmly in the conversation. If he continues to build momentum, this could quickly turn into a two-man race. The other names, Karan Magaji and Ozzy Trapilo, are still part of the depth chart shuffle, but their roles are becoming clearer. Magaji seems better suited as a depth option who can swing between tackle spots, while Trapilo has recently slid back into his more natural role on the right side, where he played the majority of his college career. That shift not only gives Chicago insurance behind Darnell Wright, but also opens the door for Benedict to push Jones more directly at left tackle. So while the competition technically began with 4 players, the reality is this: we're watching Jones versus Benedict. One with experience, the other with momentum. And when you factor in that Jones has logged 38 preseason snaps so far without a single penalty or sack allowed, this battle is about consistency versus upside. Tonight could go a long way in deciding who protects Caleb Williams' blindside when the real games begin. When you dig into the numbers, the left tackle competition gets even more interesting. Braxton Jones, for all his experience, hasn't separated himself yet. His grades sit at 51.5 in pass protection and 61.2 in run blocking, serviceable but not convincing. He's also surrendered 2 pressures and struggled at times against the bull rush. The quarterbacks have managed to escape, but those cracks can't be ignored. Still, his veteran status means the coaching staff could lean on him if consistency from the younger players doesn't hold up. Karan Magaji has flashed in the run game with a 65.6 run blocking grade, but his struggles in pass protection, 1 sack allowed, and a 27.3 pass block grade might push him inside long term. The raw strength is there, but his future may be brighter as a guard than on the edge. Then there's Theo Benedict, and right now he looks like the breakout story of camp. Across 84 snaps, he's allowed 0 sacks, committed no penalties, and posted strong grades, 77.3 in pass blocking, 72.8 in the run game. For an undrafted rookie, that's remarkable. It really feels like the job is his to lose, and if Chicago chooses him as the starter, it not only stabilizes the line, but also gives the team an affordable solution for years to come. That flexibility matters. Having Jones as a swing tackle behind him would give the Bears depth without locking themselves into a tough decision on his next contract. That said, this battle isn't over. Jones still has a shot to reclaim the spot if he puts together a solid performance tonight. Experience carries weight, especially when protecting a rookie quarterback. Now, while the trenches are stealing headlines, the roster bubble watch is just as intriguing. Tyler Scott made a strong statement last week against Buffalo and reminded everyone how crowded the receiver room really is. Maurice Alexander has shown flashes too, and J.D. Walker continues to push for attention. This group is deep, and the margin for error is razor thin. Every rep in tonight's game could be the difference between a roster spot and the practice squad. The wide receiver battle isn't the only position group fighting for survival. The running back room is overflowing with talent, and it's creating some tough decisions for Chicago. Tyler Scott continues to hover on the bubble. He's shown flashes of big playability, but with the Bears possibly leaning toward carrying extra linemen or even more depth in the backfield, his margin for error is razor thin. Another strong performance could push him closer to safety, but for now he's still fighting. The backfield, meanwhile, is as crowded as it's been in years. Ian Wheeler put up 2 touchdowns last week, but he doesn't quite have that same burst he once did. Even so, he's playing smart football and making his case to stick. The twist? Britton Brown has stepped in and completely shaken things up with a strong preseason showing. It's hard to see him stashed on the practice squad, which means someone else is at risk. Add in Travis Homer, whose value on special teams keeps him in the mix, plus veteran Royce Freeman returning for another stint, and suddenly the math gets complicated. And we can't forget Roshan Johnson, still battling a foot injury but expected to be part of this group long term. The reality is simple. Not everyone in this room is going to make it. The question is, who forces the Bears' hand? For Wheeler, there's also a deeper storyline at play. The last time he stepped onto the field in Kansas City, it ended with a torn ACL. Now he returns to Arrowhead with a chance to rewrite that chapter. If he can deliver a statement performance, not only does he push himself higher on the depth chart, but he also proves he can still be that guy when it matters most. And it's not just the offense under the microscope. Defensively, the battles at defensive tackle and in the secondary are heating up. These roster spots will be decided not just by talent, but by who shows the grit to finish strong in the final preseason test. On the defensive side, the roster battle is just as fierce. Jonathan Thorford, a big interior presence, may be destined for the practice squad unless he shows something special. Chris Williams, signed on a short deal, faces an uphill climb with Zach Pickens surging into a bigger role. Trey Flowers and Shaun Wade are also fighting for their spots, but at this point the margin is razor thin. Tonight will reveal who can disrupt the pocket and who fades into the background. So what are the keys for Chicago against Kansas City? There are 4 that stand out. 1. Let the starters play. This is the final dress rehearsal, and it's about rhythm, not just reps. They need the live action to shake off rust before week 1. 2. Stay disciplined. Avoiding costly penalties has been a bright spot the last 2 weeks, and it needs to stay that way. Nothing kills momentum faster than self-inflicted mistakes. 3. Run the football. With the backfield so crowded, this game is the last big chance for running backs to separate themselves. Establishing the ground game will help define who earns a spot. 4. Pressure the quarterback. Patrick Mahomes may not play the whole game, but the Chiefs' offense is dangerous no matter who's under center. The Bears' front has to disrupt, collapse the pocket, and set the tone. The Bears aren't favored tonight, and that's fine. Preseason isn't about betting lines. It's about progress, about clarity, and about building confidence. Whether it's the veterans sharpening their edge or the bubble players making one last stand, this game is about proving who belongs when the real season kicks off.